There's a lot that can go awry with brownies. They can be too cakey, they can have rock-hard edges with an undercooked middle, and they can be lacking flavour. But better brownies are easily attainable, especially if you know what it is you're doing wrong. As with most baked goods, the amount of time brownies spend in the oven can make or break them. And if you're looking for that spectacularly fudgy texture from edge to edge, it can be difficult to know just how long those brownies need to bake. So, what's the trick? Well, the tried and true method of using a toothpick or a cake tester won't work. That's because properly fudgy brownies are always going to yield a chocolate-coated toothpick when you poke them. And if they don't, you've entered into the dreaded overbaked and cakey territory. Aside from following a trusted recipe to a T, which is even more important with brownies than other treats, it's a good idea to rotate the pan halfway through the cooking time. Since most ovens have hot and cool spots, this ensures that the brownies will bake evenly. Those are the basics, and following those rules will probably afford you fine brownies. But the real way to tell when your brownies have reached optimal doneness? Check for the crack. Katsy Guy Hamilton, Global Director of Food and Beverage for chocolatier Max Brenner, said that once the top is shiny and set, the first cracks are a telltale sign that your brownies are ready. In this case, no matter what the timer says, yank those bad boys from the oven. The result should be fudgy and gooey, but not underbaked. Perfection.
Oh! We should be having brownies!
Maybe you made an entire batch of brownies for yourself and don't care how easily or not easily they come out because you're going to eat them straight out of the pan with a fork. We salute you. But for those of you who want to share a brownie or two and also want them to look like they didn't get put through the wood chipper first, you really should think about lining the pan with parchment paper. It's an extra step, yes, but it ensures that each and every brownie will come out of the pan perfectly, even the dreaded first brownie, with no chance of sticking. Real Simple recommends creating a sling with 2 strips of parchment by buttering or spraying the pan and laying 1 strip into the pan, leaving an overhang on 2 sides. Butter or spray that strip, then press the second strip in to overhang the 2 remaining sides. 1 more coat of butter or spray and in goes the batter. Once cool, all you need to do is grab the overhanging parchment to use as handles and voila! No fuss, no muss. Easily cuttable brownies. You might think that ooey gooey melted chocolate would be the superior choice when it comes to brownie baking, but you would be wrong. Pastry chef Alice Medrich wrote this advice for Food 52. Brownies made with cocoa can have very deep chocolate flavour and still retain a softer and moister texture than an equally chocolatey brownie made with a bar of chocolate. How can that be? It's all because of the fat. When you use cocoa powder, you have to replace the fat that you would have gotten from the chocolate's cocoa butter with actual butter. The difference in these fats is that butter stays soft at room temperature, while cocoa butter firms up. When it comes to choosing between natural or Dutch processed cocoa powder, Cook's Illustrated confirms that baked goods made with the more acidic natural cocoa were drier, while those made with the less acidic Dutch were fudgier and made for an earthier, richer chocolate flavour. If you do choose to forego the cocoa powder and make chocolate brownies instead, you definitely want to be picky about the quality of the ingredient. Now, that doesn't mean splurging for the $20 per ounce artisan chocolate with gold leaf, but you'll want to skip the super cheap stuff too. Former Bon Appetit Senior Associate Editor Claire Saffitz had this to say: I wouldn't bake with an $11 artisanal bar. It should be delicious enough on its own to eat as a snack. Now, what about chocolate bars versus chocolate chips? Is there really any difference? There is, and it's a big one. While it might be easier to grab the bag of chips rather than painstakingly chopping a big bar of chocolate, the chips won't be doing your brownies any favours. That's because chips contain stabilizers and preservatives, which aside from impeding the melting process, can compromise the chocolate's flavour. While Saffitz recommends against baking with chips, she says that if you do, be sure to choose a high-quality product that contains fewer ingredients. We've all burned a baked good or two, the phone rings or the dryer dings, and the next thing you know, there's smoke pouring out of the oven. But have you ever taken a batch of brownies out of the oven to test for doneness and then just plumb forgotten to put them back in? That's what one Epicurious writer did.
Why is there smoke coming out of your oven, Seymour?
That isn't smoke, it's steam.
Kemp Minifee says that when she realised her brownies had been left out of the oven for about 15 minutes, she popped them back in and hoped for the best. Surprisingly, the forgotten brownies were fudgier and far better than her usual recipe. Minifee consulted Harold McGee, author of On Food and Cooking, who explained why that might be. He said, "The 15-minute respite is allowing both brownies and pan to cool down, so when you put them back in the oven, it takes some minutes for them to get back up to temperature before they can continue to cook and become more done. And the outer portions will end up less hot than they would with continuous cooking." In case you need an extra push to try this method, just know that famous chef Alton Brown co-signs and promises what he calls ooey gooey brownies. Fans of Ina Garten have no doubt heard the barefoot Contessa sing coffee's praises in the making of nearly all of her chocolate desserts. And there's a very good reason that she adds this secret ingredient. She said, "If you add coffee to chocolate, it gives it a depth of flavour." Whether you use instant coffee granules like Garten or simply substitute coffee for water, you're doing your brownies a favour. Cooks Illustrated recommends adding 1.5 teaspoons of instant espresso powder per 9-inch by 13-inch batch of brownies and promises that it won't result in a distinct coffee taste, only amped up chocolate flavour. Adding brewed coffee might be even more important than boosting the chocolate flavour. It obscures the processed flavours. That's reason enough to start adding coffee to your brownies, isn't it? Anyone who's ever whipped up a batch of boxed brownies knows that all you need is an egg, vegetable oil and water. Now, there's nothing wrong with vegetable oil. It's a fine oil for your brownie baking needs. But you're missing out on an easy opportunity to give your baked goods a little something extra if you never reach for a different fat. Olive oil, for instance, will impart its fruitiness and a delicious bitterness into brownies. Melted butter will result in a richer and chewier brownie than you'll get from vegetable oil. Coconut oil works well in brownies too. You can also substitute vegetable oil with more unexpected ingredients like Greek yogurt and avocado. One Spoon University writer tested both substitutions and found that mashed avocado resulted in rich and creamy brownies, while Greek yogurt produced a chocolatey and moist result and was the clear winner in her taste test. Plus, Greek yogurt makes us feel like we're eating healthy food. Win-win. Maybe you bought it new, maybe it was handed down from grandma, but either way, you've got a Pyrex baking dish, and it's probably the dish you reach for when you make casseroles and brownies alike. Keep right on baking your lasagna in it, but stop with the brownies already. Why? Pastry chef Stella Parks says there's only one right pan for baking brownies, and that's one made of lightweight, reflective metal like aluminum, she explained. Parks also said that a glass pan, like that trusty Pyrex you love so much, is so thick and heavy that it can take twice as long to cook your brownies through, and that can result in a finished product that's dense and gummy. Dark non-stick baking pans can result in brownies that bake too fast and are too brown on the bottom with dried out edges, which explains why most boxed mixes instruct you to lower the oven temperature if you're using one. Parks promises that an aluminum pan is your best bet for optimally puffed brownies that settle into fudgy, crinkly perfection. A common brownie making mistake is that you're not whipping your eggs and sugar well enough. It's called the ribbon stage, and Epicurious insists that it's a necessary evil when it comes to making better brownies. The ribbon stage is achieved by whipping the daylights out of the eggs and sugar to a point that when you lift your whisk up, the mixture is thick enough to ribbon back on itself. Obviously, this adds air into the mixture, which you'd think would be counterintuitive for fudgy brownies. And though the resulting brownies are indeed loftier than a batch made without taking this step, they were undeniably creamier on the inside and shinier on top. Yes, it takes a bit longer, but your effort will be rewarded. We get it. When a cake or brownie craving hits, you need to satisfy it as quickly as possible. Thanks to boxed mixes, that means you could be shoveling molten hot, fresh from the oven brownies into your mouth in 30 minutes flat. So why on earth would you want to waste 48 hours refrigerating your brownie butter? To make them taste even better, of course. It's a bit of magical brownie making advice from Alice Medricks, who includes this genius tip in her book, Seriously Bittersweet: The ultimate dessert maker's guide to chocolate. Medrich explains that refrigerating the brownie batter in the pan for several hours or as long as 2 days before baking wreaks enormous transformations. It improves the top gloss and crustiness, and it also blends the flavors so that the brownies taste much richer and the texture is chewier too. All good reasons, no? Just remember to get the batter into your baking pan first. If you refrigerate the batter in a mixing bowl, the butter or cocoa butter will firm up far too much to be spreadable.
And you will not leave this platform until you have consumed the entire confection!
Entire confection?
No, not a slice of bread in the batter. That would just be weird. But introducing a slice of bread to your brownies after they've been baked is almost as important as baking them perfectly in the first place. If there's one bad thing that can be said about brownies, it's that they go stale almost as soon as you take them out of the oven. Okay, so maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but the chocolatey squares definitely have the propensity to dry out, and fast. On the off chance that you're not going to inhale the entire pan of brownies within 12 hours, tossing a slice of bread into the storage container is a surefire way to keep those squares moist. Not only does it prevent them from drying out, but this bread trick can help revive already dried out brownies too. Just place as many slices of bread over the less than fresh squares as you need to cover them. Seal them up, and in 24 hours, you'll be sinking your teeth into a revitalized treat. This works because the brownies steal the moisture they need from the bread. And let's be honest, a few slices of sacrificial bread is well worth it for this payoff.
But I have made you brownies. I have made you brownies from scratch.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite desserts are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.